Hi everyone, it's Alex here, and today we'll be discovering how to work with SQL and Python and to connect your Python to your SQL database like a pro. Let's discover how to work with that, but firstly, let's discover the next thing. So Python is a programming language which you can use to work with all of the different backend stuff on it your application. So you can, for example, use it as a web server, or you can use it as like an application, like a terminal application, like a middleware, and you can use it as anywhere that you would like to. But one of the most popular is to use it as a Django application, for example. And when you're using that, there are a lot of things that you need to connect with your database to, I don't know, for example, to take the information, to compare, to analyze data, it doesn't matter. But if you need to store the data, you'll be using databases. And there are a lot of them, but let's take, for example, Postgre. And Postgre is working on the SQL, so PostgreSQL, and we'll be working with SQL query language. So let's discover how we can work with that and what is the best practice and best tips to work with connecting data to with connecting Python to your SQL database. Let's go. So here we can see just 5 files that we'll need to discover today and realize how to work with them. So first let's go to an env file. What is env? .env. Env in most of stuff is a file that will be only on your computer. It won't go to the server, and here you'll see local data, for example your host, your port of database, and name, user and password to connect to your database. Important, like all the 5 important things to connect to your database, and you're using them in env for no one to see your secret code. So in most of the time when you'll see how like you're going to workshop, you'll see like people have env file, but no one will show you them. You'll see just this config file. In this config file you're taking from .env, you're loading env file, and it's automatically understand where you have env based on your config.py file. So if we're using this one, so it'll take the nearest .env file, and here it is. So it automatically then understands dp host, dp port, db name, db user, db password. So we can see that these names are using right here, and you're working with get env, so you're taking env from OS, so your operation system, so from your computer. You're taking these codes. That's why it'll be secure. This is the basic thing that you need 100% to know, and it will be like just a list of like a constant for this information. And what we're doing next we can go, for example, to main.py file and see what we have right now. Why we're going to main.py? Because we need to understand what does db connection do and query execution do after we realize what is going on main.py and why do we need it. So first, what we're doing, we're importing an class query executor. Here we can see that. You see that. And first, what we're doing, if name equals main. So if we're running exactly main.py file, so we're not allowing to run main.py file from the another place. So we're connecting that straightly. So that's what we are doing. And first, what we are doing, we're creating our executor variable. And let's see it. So firstly, we're initializing, so we're taking class, we're initializing our executor. And what does it do? When we are initializing our project, we're taking self-db pool, and we are using the method database, like not the method, the class, database connection pool from the file db connection. Interesting. And also, when you were importing this thing, we're instantly take logger to log in all of what we are doing, and you will see that a little bit later when we will be logging the information. So we are taking the database connection pool, and let's discover that. So we're going to database connection pool, and it's here. And what do we see here? So firstly, we're importing some additional things. So first, we're importing PyPorch to this for your PostgreSQL, and then we're importing login to log our data, to have logins, so we'll be understanding what is happening with our database. And then we're taking config and we're taking db configurations. That's why we're taking that from another file, so it will be, the structure would be better. And we give the class for our db connection pool. And remember, when you're like telling that you're using database connection pool and round brackets, it's always def init. That's all, def init. So you'll see it here, the class name and the round brackets, def init. If you're seeing it here, also round brackets, def init. It's a rule, that's all. So we have self, like we're working with classes, and we have default parameters, min connections, max connections. And then we're trying to connect to our app because we can have an error and we need to execute it and not to our app to be broken. So if we'll have an error, we'll write it here. So we have an error and we'll raise an error. So that's what we need to do. And how we're working with our connection. So we're again the variable that calls pool, and if we're taking that, we can then use it everywhere we want. So here, here, here. So that's why we're creating that as a pool, like not just we're taking the variable in such way, but we'll need to make it as a variable, and this, like not a variable, like a property that needs to be used in the other places in our class. And first, what we're doing, we're taking the simple connection, and it's from the pool, so it's from this library. We're taking the simple connection, and first what we're making min connections and max connections. So why do we need that? Min connections creates like an open connections to your database. So when you, like for example, you're writing 3 min connections, so if you will not provide any min connections, for example here you're not providing all like min connections, you can write here min con, and that could be 5, and we'll override that. But if you're not writing that, so let's take this thing, and we tell that this is the minimum connections that needs to be open for this database, and when any app inside our project will try to connect to this database, it will be it will be fastly, like flash be connected. So that's why we're using that, because if, for example, we're using min connection 1, but we're using one more app where we need once more to connect, something like that, we'll have not a problems, but we would need to initialize Lini to create a new min connection for this simple connection pool. And it will write default to min connection. That, like, on speaking, it's not more here, so it will be like more to be like something with more here, but okay, you understand the logic. So if your connection the second time and you have here min connection 1, your Postgre needs to create a new instance with your connection, with all the data that is connection, to connect all the data between themselves to show you the data. And when you write min connection 2 from the very beginning, when the first connection will be created, or just your application will be created, it will initially create 2 empty boxes that is instantly writing, like have all the data connections, everything to show. And when you will try to connect to your database, it will be fastly connect. That's why we're using this. So if you know that you'll connect from different places to your pool database, you'll need to write at least mean connection, that would be. And if you have more than 10 connections, and for example someone will try to connect 11 times, you will block that because you 100% don't need that. And if someone is connecting, so you will know that something is getting wrong, maybe you'll have any attack to you. So that's why we need to work with that. And here we'll log in, like if everything is connected, we're connection successfully. If not, so it won't be shown. You'll see this one because there will be error here, and it won't go to this line, it will be go here because exception will be working. So that was happening here after initializing these things. So then we create just a variable where we're writing our query, SQL query. And firstly, what we're using executors to execute our query. And we can execute it securely. So what we're doing, we're taking query, that will be required one, and parameters, we can take any or not. And we're, first the connection is null, then we're taking db pool, get connection, so we're taking the method get connection and we're connecting to our application. So we can write it 2 times. Do you see? Yeah, I just write it in, like I was explaining to you in the wrong place. So you will be writing that in such a way, and we'll have here only one. This one will be connecting, but it will be take a little bit of time. But it will write something like that. It will help us to improve the speed of connection to our second request. So that's what we are doing. And firstly, what we're doing, we're working with Wisp to instantly secure, to close the cursor working. So firstly, what we can log in our query. Then we're executing our query. And if we need any params, we're writing these params. But why we're using execution? Because when we need to work with programs that can ensure our request between our Python and between our Postgres. So that's why we're using executor. So this cursor is just, most of all, it is calling like. So cursor is making a request to our PostgreSQL, and then we are making like commit. So we have made this request and we are sending that to our Postgres. So commit is like we're sending, it's like a button send. So when you're writing execution, it's like in a form, just a field where you're writing your text, and commit is it's like a button submit. And when you're clicking on that, the request was gone. So then we're taking return cursor fetch all. What is fetch all? To make your connection more secure, it's better to use less query requests. So there are a lot of built-in requests, fetch all, for example, to insert something. And when you were working with fetch all, so it will be instantly see if we need to take anything from our request, and it will show us something. So if there is a description in the another way, so we'll just be returned of the null, and we won't show anything. So that's what is how does it work. And if we'll have any error here, we'll go to our exception and we'll log that. And if there will be a problem with connection, we'll try to roll back that to try once more. And then finally, so what we need to do, we need to make dbpool release connection. So what that will help you? So it will go into db connection and we'll see release connection. What is it helping you? It is helping to say that, okay, I have made my query, and just not closing that. So if we'll have, for example, two of them, if we'll be closing one, that will just decrease our mean connection. So it will be something like 1, and that would be not good. So we're just telling that we have made everything that we need. We don't need to close our connection. We just emptify that. That's what we are doing. And here is this put con method, and also we're logging all this stuff. Because if we'll have any problem, we'll discover that instantly. That's why we need to log in our problems, and we need to use try catch. And finally, that's why we need to do it. And of course we need to use class, because that can help you to ensure your structure betterly. That's why we're using that. Then what we're doing next, so we're executing query once more, and here we're using placeholders. So these %C, this the data that we be doing that is a security from SQL injection. If you will be discovering what is SQL injection, it's when the user on the, for example, form or login form in your application can write SQL code, and you'll just take in this SQL code, and that will just break your application. So if you're writing something like that, the user, like you're just taking unsecurely what the user will write here, for example. So user will be able, in such case, to write something not like this, but something like this. So he will write this in one query, then he will write something like drop database, and all of your database will be dropped, and you will lose a lot of money, a lot of clients, and that would be very badly. So that's why we need to use this thing like 100% to secure from SQL injection. Okay, so then we also take the users. So here select all from users, execute, and we will see our users. That's what fetch all will help us with, because printing can help us in this execution query, in this, but not in this one, because when we're just creating table, we won't have any special description shows, so we won't show that. And then what we're doing after of what we have done, we need to close our connection pool. So we're closing pool, then we're taking close all the connections, because we can have a lot of connections, and to close all of them, we're just writing close all. So if we're ending to work with our application, we don't need to make to have a leak to connect to our database. For example, we're creating an application, and it will be close our application. We need to close all of the connections to our database, and we need to close our database, because if we will leave that, your application can be not working, but someone can go to your database. It can find the link to your database and key it, and it can ensure a lot of problems. So remember, you need to always, when you're ending your application, close all the connection and close your pool to work with your database. So pool is like it's like a job with your database. So that's how to work as a pro with your database connection. So what I can recommend to you, try to rewrite this code, try to create this connection by your own, and let me find in the comments what have been done here, what you have done, and how does it work. And honestly speaking, I will be wishing you all the best, and looking forward to see you in the next videos. All the best. Bye.